Stan, members of the Blair County, and friends. I want to set the stage for Steve Lach and others who competed in the late 30s and the early 40s. There was grass on the football fields, no artificial turf, cinders on the track, no hard surfaces. There were 160 to 170 out for track and football. Football had the varsity, the A and B teams, and the junior varsity, as well as 2 junior high school teams in football. Another character we couldn't miss, Dr. Louis Lass, an MD who seldom missed practices and games at home and away. He was a great help to the injured and the ill. And then, of course, there was World War II that interfered, as Dawn says. And then you remember, some of you, the PRR passes, those passes that were used for the away games by many, many people. Stephen John Lach was born in Altoona. He was a son of Polish immigrants. When Steve was only 7, his father died. Mrs. Lach raised 6 children. She operated a neighborhood grocery store in Altoona. Well, at Keith Junior High School, George Motes sent Steve out to the varsity track team, and several weeks later, Snaps Emanuel came over to me and asked me to come over to the Hammer Circle. He said, "Look at this. Here was young Steve, 145 pounds, putting 3 turns in the 12-pound hammer. This is almost unbelievable and unheard of in those days, and still is, from a freshman in high school. He showed us at that time that he had great balance, and he was a great prospect in the shot and the discus, and he and Snaps Emanuel got well acquainted as a result of this activity in track and field. It's unfortunate this evening that Snaps Emanuel couldn't be here. He was killed in an automobile wreck some time ago. He would have enjoyed this evening in helping to accolade Steve, Earl, Dawn, and Bill Parsons. On a Saturday morning of a state meet in the 30s, Snaps had emergency surgery. I stopped at the hospital on the way over to Penn State for the state track meet, and with tears in his eyes, Snaps said, "Dick, I'm letting you down." That's the kind of a guy he was. I said, "Don't worry, Snaps, we'll bring you some gold." That day, in the state track meet, Steve not only won the shot and the discus throw, but he broke the state discus record that day and set it at 138 feet, 5.5 inches. That record still stands. The next year, they put in the smaller discus. On the way home that evening, Steve and I stopped at the hospital and showed Snaps his 2 gold championship medals. Words tonight cannot describe the scene between these 2 champions, but you could tell both of them were very, very happy. Steve, in his junior and senior high school years at Altoona, developed into an outstanding fullback on offense and an outstanding defensive back on defense. He helped bring about, and very much instrumental, in an undefeated season in 1937. This was the first undefeated season in 21 years.